So we asked, how could he possibly know what's in the hearts of all those who saw? Only through Ruach HaKodesh. Gemara says, not necessarily. Rabbi Elazar has a teaching over here, Da'amar, who says, Melamed, we learn, Shekol Echad Ve'echad Nidmata Lo Ke'umato. Esther would not tell her nationality. Okay? Now, once she appeared, Rabbi Elazar says there was this tremendous buzz in the crowd. Right? Everyone from Brooklyn was saying, oh, that's a Brooklyn girl, if I ever saw one. Right? Others were saying, I wish they all could be California. No, that's a California girl. No, that's a Madai girl. No, that's a Paras girl. No, she's a this. Everyone was claiming her for themselves. Kol echad ve'echad, to each and every person, nidmata, she appeared lo to him, ki'umato, that she was from his nation. So if that's the buzz, if everyone is engaged in this serious debate, each one claiming she's mine, she's from my country, she's from my nationality, then Mordechai can write without any divine intervention or knowledge. He could say she found favor in the eyes of all those who saw her. V'had Rabbi Meir said that the matter became known to Mordechai. The matter referring to the plot, the assassination plot of Bigtan and Teresh, that became known to Mordechai. How did he know about this plot? Only through Ruach HaKodesh. Gemara says no. There's another way of explaining that. Dilma, perhaps, Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Perhaps it's like Rabbi Chia, the son of Abba, said to Amar, who said, Bigtan v'teresh shnei tarshiyin hayu. Bigtan and Teresh, these two guards, they were these two people from Terja, Tarshi, whatever that is. Tarshiyim. Right? And they spoke this dialect that very few people spoke. Therefore, they were comfortable conversing about their plans with an earshot of others, because who's going to understand it?
Mordecai.
What they didn't realize was that Mordechai, who was from the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, that Mordechai was a person who spoke 70 languages, and he did understand that language. And he heard their plot, and he heard them arranging that it's right, we don't have the same shift, I'll cover your shift, and that way you'll be able to have time to go there and do it. So therefore, the matter became known to Mordechai. How did the matter become known? Loose lips sinks ships. Right? They felt confident speaking in this very, very unusual dialect, not knowing that Mordechai in fact understood it. Therefore, according to that, there was no Ruach HaKodesh involved whatsoever. There was certainly what we call Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence, which positioned Mordechai right there when they were speaking that language and speaking that language of their plans. There was certainly a lot of divine providence, but there's always divine providence. Here we're talking about almost something quasi-nevuah, quasi-prophecy, right? Information being imparted to me, that's already a whole new level.
Well, it's like the brothers before Yosef. They were speaking, thinking that he couldn't understand them.
Correct.
I'm sorry,
Right? Right. Steve mentioned that when the brothers were speaking in front of Yosef, there was a meturgaman, there was a translator there, thinking that Yosef did not understand their language, and that's a very enviable position to be in. When people think that you have no clue, especially in the Yosef situation, you have no clue what they're talking about, remember, you hear exactly right what they're saying. And then it gets translated, and then you hear the differences in the translation. I was once at a Sheva Brachas, and the girl was from a very, very somewhat sheltered family, right? It was Torah. There was no sports, just all of that just was not right? And the young man that who was marrying her was a tremendous Talmid Chacham, but he also knew about all the sports and all of these things. So, and the bride didn't speak English. Okay, so it was all being translated for her. So it's very funny because they say, and so and the Chatan, the groom, right? He knows all, he's gone through the entire Gemara and he knows it so well. That was translated, right? And he goes, at the same time, he knows every single sports score of every single team. And in Hebrew, they say, what? It's hard to find any knowledge that he doesn't know. but when there's the translation, it fits the crowd. Right. So over here, right, as in the case, Steve, as he said, with Yosef and the brothers, right, there was a translator, all right, by Yosef. Over here, they thought no one would know what's being said, but he knew exactly what was being said. So in that case, there was no Ruach HaKodesh involved. There was, as I said, Ashkacha Pratis, divine orchestration, that Mordechai happened to be within earshot when they were talking about this plan, but that is always the case. Lastly, V'hadar of Yossi ben Durmaskit, he said that the Pasuk said that no one partook of any of the spoils. How could Mordechai possibly know that no one partook of the spoils? That too, Dilma, perhaps, Pristiki Shadur, perhaps there were officers that were sent around. Achashverosh wanted to ascertain, right, what is going on. And officers were sent around and they came back and they reported no spoils were taken. Right? And therefore we could write in the Megillah no spoils were taken. That was what was investigated. That was the conclusion of the investigation. Maybe one person might, right? You can still write. It was investigated. The report came back and Mordechai wrote that no spoils were taken. So those first opinions could be challenged. However, Shmuel, but the last one, that was Shmuel who said, Kimu v'kiblu is established in the heavens, that which was accepted down here, that Vadai certainly late lay pircha. That certainly, there is no challenge to that, there is no way to negate that proof. Amar Ravina says, Hayinu da Amri Inchi, there's an expression people say, it's better to have one hot pepper than a whole barrel full of curry of melons. Right? You want one good hot pepper instead of a whole basket full of melons. Right? So we had all of these explanations, but Shmuel's explanation was that one hot pepper, right, that lasted. The Gemara concludes now with two other explanations. Rav Yosef Amar Mehacha. Rav Yosef says from here, V'yimei HaPurim. Just 1 second. Rav Yosef says, the Pasuk says, V'yimei HaPurim ha'eleh lo yavru mitoch ha-Yehudim. He says these days of Purim will not pass from amongst the Jews. Now, how can I possibly write what will be generations going forward? These days of Purim will not pass from amongst the Jews. Now, we know that's true. Here we are, 2014, celebrating Purim, having just celebrated Purim. So we see that it's true, but how do you write it then? How do you write it then? Rav Nachman Yitzchak says, Mehacha, from that very same pasuk, from the end of the pasuk, V'zichram, and its remembrance, Lo Yasuf, will never end, Mi Zaram, from their descendants. So why didn't Rav Nachman like the first half of the pasuk that Rav Yosef brought? Rav Yosef said, the pasuk reads, "In these days of Purim will never pass from amongst the Jews, and their memory will not end from their descendants." Rav Yosef brought from the first half of the pasuk, "These days of Purim will never pass from amongst the Jews." Rav Nachman Yitzchak brought from the latter half of the pasuk, "And the memory will never stop from their descendants." So take a look at the very bottom Tosfot. Those are with me in Hebrew, outside column, last couple of words. Rav Nachman Amar Mehacha v'Zichron Yasut Mizaram. The Bereisha Dikra, because from the first half of the pasuk that Rav Yosef brought, that it said these days of Purim will never pass from amongst the Jews. Lo Chazin, we only see Ella HaYehudim Sheba'oto Hador. The pasuk only said these days of Purim will never pass from amongst the Jews, right? What might it be saying? All those Jews who lived it,
right,
who experienced it,
right,
the days of Purim will never pass. You can be rest assured,
right,
every year of their life comes this date, they're going to raise their cups and they're going to celebrate. Right? So that's something that Mordechai can say. Right? I can say, right, anyone who experienced that crazy deliverance that we went through will never forget it. Mm-hmm. They'll never forget it. Mm-hmm. Right? That will never, these days of Purim will never pass from amongst those people. Right? Until the day of their death. They will remember this, they will celebrate it. That's not Ruach HaKodesh necessarily. But go further and say, and its memory will never stop from their descendants?
Because
who knows?
We're commanded to remember Amalek, though. So
remember Amalek. What does that have to do with Purim?
Because we remember.
You might.
By knowing that.
You might, but there's no. It's not, the commandment to remember Amalek is not to remember Purim. So you might use Purim as a vehicle, but it's not clearly not part and parcel of that.
So we discussed how important a holiday Purim is. Was it established then that it was one of maybe the most important holiday?
Well,
and therefore, if you're a Jew, you will remember that holiday because it's all important. And only if all the Jews are gone would future generations not be able to celebrate.
So are you
Purim.
challenging Stu and saying that maybe it's not?
Yeah.
Right? At that point, you couldn't know what place in history this would be.
Okay.
There have been, right, there's a whole Megillah. There have been many other times of us being in danger and being saved. So right there, looking back, we say, oh, of course. Right? But real time, one doesn't know how it's going to play forward. So once, Rav Nachman Yitzchak says, once the pasuk said it will never cease from their seed, that is clear. The only way that Mordechai could have known that is Ruach HaKodesh. And for me, what's so beautiful about this Gemara is we are the living representatives, the living proof of this Ruach HaKodesh as we every year celebrate Purim and Zichram Lo Yasuf. We can see and show it has not stopped. It has not stopped Mezaram. Yes, Jen.
I think though the argument that it was accepted in Shemayim, and we knew that, so we observe here. That could be a tautology. We are maybe making that assumption because we do observe that it was it could be circular logic.
Well, Shmuel's statement was the Megillah is telling us that it was accepted in Shemayim.
Where does it? See, I don't get that.
That's what I said before. It's not explicit in the pasuk. Right. Tosas actually asks that. There are other ways of reading that pasuk also. So, what Tosas says, but the other one, right? Lo dami hai pircha lishar pirchas the inach tasatis vartam legamrei. Right. The other ones, right? Your whole proof is not a proof. Right. It became known to Mordechai. He overheard it. Right. The spoils. They sent messengers. Right. Everyone was claiming that she was from them. Right? Who else could, right? All that just gets to the core of it. Here we could say, well, maybe it doesn't mean that. Fair enough. Shmuel had the tradition that that's exactly what it means. Right? So based on that tradition, that's what it means. You can only know that through Ruach HaKodesh. Okay, my friends, we will call it over here. And I thank you all for adjusting your schedules to our Wednesday this week.